Good morning. We'll call the meeting to order. The meeting of the Carver Select Board for Friday, August 26, 2022. This meeting is being cablecast by Area 58 Community Access Media, Channel 15, and will be posted by Area 58 on YouTube as soon as possible. There are openings on several committees. Please refer to the front page of our website under Committee and Board Volunteering for a listing and application. If we could all stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands,
and to the republic, with the stands,
indivisible,
and
justice.
visible with liberty and justice for all.
Our community prayer. Almighty God, humbly we pray your blessing as we concern our life with the opportunity to serve our community. Enhance us with your spirit of dignity and selflessness. May we become instruments of support and understanding as we seek to bring an environment of trust and purpose among all who provide the many services that make us all that we can become. Help us achieve the goals of our commitment in this office that is now our responsibility. And especially, we lift our prayers for all the citizens of our community that we have been allowed to serve, that they may discover the fullness and joy of life that we all seek. And keep those serving in our armed forces and our first responders in our hearts and thoughts. Amen.
Amen.
All right. The first item on our agenda this morning, as always, is citizens' participation. Are there any members of the public who wish to address the board? Seeing none, we'll move on to our next item, which is a joint meeting with the Select Board in the North Carver Water District to appoint Eric Mueller to fill a vacancy as Commissioner of the North Carver Water District until the next town election. We'll invite Mr. Palmieri to join us. If you could just introduce yourself for the folks at home.
Yep, Mike Palmieri, 164 Plymouth Street, North Carver Water District Commissioner.
All right. And for the purposes of this meeting, the North Carver Water District is down to one member, so they won't be calling their meeting to order. They'll be just joining the Select Board, and they'll vote along with us. And so folks at home know Jen Bogart, a member of the Select Board, is joining us via phone this morning. So she's on speakerphone. Say good morning, Jen.
I am here.
Great.
Yes, I am here. Good morning, everyone.
All right, we can hear you just fine. So, okay. Is Mr. Mueller here? He is not?
He's probably
All
at
right.
work.
That's fine. I just wanted to give him a chance to
Yeah.
speak. Okay. Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Eric Mueller to fill a vacancy as Commissioner on the North Carver Water District until the next town election.
All right.
I'll
Is there a
second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Well, I just, never have I seen a more perfect request for joining a committee.
Yeah.
He has 30 years of experience in water and wastewater and the wastewater field, management and operations. I think it's fantastic.
Certainly well qualified.
I was going to say exactly the same thing. And thank you, Eric, wherever you are.
Yep, thank you, Eric.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, this is a roll call vote. So, Ms. Bogart, we'll start with you.
Jen Bogart, aye.
Mr.
Mike
John-
Palmieri, aye.
Mr.
John Carter, aye.
Mark Townsend says aye.
Sarah Hewen says aye.
Jim Hoffman says aye.
All right. It is unanimous. Congratulations, Mr. Mueller. And Mr. Palmieri, thank you very much for joining us this morning. I know it's been a little difficult trying to get this meeting together, so we appreciate it. And if you could just, when you're talking to Mr. Mueller, just remind him he needs to be sworn in.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. The next item on our agenda this morning is our presentation of the updated King Richard's Fair traffic plan by Chief Dufley. Chief, thank you for joining us this morning.
Can't steal that much. I'll speak loud. Hopefully. We don't have a mic.
Yeah.
You
Can we?
can grab that one.
Hold on. Maybe you can mic this one, right?
Yeah.
Sit there, huh?
Yeah.
Chief, you can pull a mic onto the stand if you want.
I don't think it's.
Or the other one, the one that, oh no,
That's
that's,
one
that's,
for
yeah,
Jen.
that's right. Phone mic.
Let's work out good. All right.
So that- Chief, if you could, just before you begin your presentation, could you, just for the folks at home, remind us again who the members of the committee were that put this plan
Absolutely.
together?
Good morning, thank you. Thanks for having me here today, and we have our presentation. So, as you remarked, last year we had a little bit of problem with traffic at the community fair, so we met with you guys, and with the support of Select Board, we put together a working group to work on this problem. That group included our Town Administrator, Mr. Fennessy, our Fire Chief, Craig Weston, our EMS Chief, Mike Ryan, Emergency Management Director, Tom Walsh, Operations and Management Deputy Director, John Woods, myself, and then Miss Bonnie Shapiro and Miss Amy Sidley from the fair. We met several times. We brought input from public safety, from the public. We'd received some emails, and from our offices, and with discussing with the fair. During those meetings, we decided that we need to hire a traffic engineering firm to come up with an actual plan to better use Route 58 to allow traffic to get into the fair and to get around the fair. After contacting 3 different companies, 2 submitted bids, and Vanasse and Associates was hired to prepare the plan. They were hired by the fair, not by the town, but they worked with the town to do that. Vanasse and Associates are traffic engineers and planners. Their expertise includes traffic impact analysis, transportation planning, and traffic engineering. Their big thing is they're responsible for the plan for Gillette, which takes Route 1, divides it into lanes to get a large amount of people into a venue using a small amount of roadway. Clearly, we don't have the same number of people coming to the fair as Gillette, although I guess the fair would probably like that if that happened. But we do have a small piece of roadway that we need to get a large amount of people in. They are very good at maximizing the use of the roadway to accommodate that larger volume of traffic. The plan, I know it's probably difficult to see. I have a bigger version if any of the select board member wants to take a look at it. That's what we're using to put the plan together and put into action. But what it's done is it is designed to safely and more efficiently utilize Route 58 for the traffic flow either into the fair or around the fair so residents can get by. It delineates 3 lanes of travel on Route 58 from the north end of Shaw Road all the way to the north end of Savory Avenue. That's going to give us approximately just a little over 1.25 miles of 3 divided lanes, which gives us a lot more ability to stack traffic that needs to turn into the fair while we're waiting for them to park in the fair and get traffic around the other 2 lanes. The public will see traffic cones, there'll be signage, and there'll be detail officers out there to guide drivers who are either going into the fair or who are trying to get around the fair. So what will that look like? Vehicles traveling north on Route 58 will see signage at Rochester Road, reducing the speed limit and advising of a new traffic plan ahead. That's back at Rochester Road. Then approximately 2,000 feet further north, they'll see signage advising the travel in the rightmost lane is for through traffic heading north, continuing north. Travel in the center lane is heading to the King Richard's Fair, and prohibiting travel in the leftmost lane. Shortly after the sign, the delineated lanes will begin, with the center lane ending at the north entrance to the fair, where a detail officer will be located to guide the cars into the fair as appropriate based on their ability to park cars. So what will southbound traffic look like? Vehicles traveling south on Route 58 will also see signage about 2,000 feet north of Meadow Street, reducing the speed limit and advising of a new traffic pattern ahead. Then they'll see signage at Meadow Street advising the travel in the rightmost lane is the lane to the fair, traveling to the fair, so on the rightmost side of the street. The center lane is going to be for the southbound traffic and prohibiting traffic in the leftmost lane. Shortly after that sign, the delineated lanes begin. The center lane again ending at the north entrance of the fair where the police officer is, who will, as appropriate, guide the southbound traffic into the southbound lane. The southbound traffic into the fair will be on the rightmost. It doesn't need a police officer to guide it. It can always just make the right-hand turn into the fair. In addition, we had problems last year with Mayflower Road, people coming in, trying to come in around the traffic and get into the fair by Mayflower Road. So this plan limits traffic to local traffic only on Mayflower Road with some signage. And then if you're heading west on Mayflower Road towards Route 58, when you get there, there'll be signage indicating a right turn only, but only into the northbound lane. You can't use that Mayflower Road to get into the lane coming into the fair. In addition to that, we've contacted the 2 Waze and Google, which are the big GPS apps, And we'll be able to delineate those roads as local use only so that their algorithms won't, if traffic backs up on 58, won't guide people around to come down 58. So we're hoping that we'll stop that problem by the use of cones and by changing what Waze uses for a road. Our concern is always about getting public safety vehicles either into the fair or around the fair. I think this plan, as ours is before, will make it much easier. Because with the police officer there who's in contact by radio to dispatch, when an ambulance or a fire engine has to come down through the area, we can just merely stop traffic from traveling northbound or south and hold everybody and have them come right in and around, either into the fair or past the fair. So I think this will make it a lot easier and quicker to be able to accomplish that goal. In the past, last year, we had some problems where, because it got tied up so far back, it was difficult to do that. I think this will help it. The real big thing about this is we have, as I mentioned, almost 1.25 miles ability to stack cars out of the way and let through traffic get around it. So I believe this will help us to make that happen. The fair did work with us, and they're working with us to move it forward. We have a meeting scheduled for Monday with all of the police officers that work the fair, members of the DPW, public safety chiefs, and the fair, just to go over this again to make sure that we're all set and ready to go. We do have, yesterday the DPW was out painting the dots in the roadway, so they'll be able to set up those cones. The DPW is taking on that role of putting the cones out, with the fair paying the DPW workers for that job. So I believe that I think we've got a plan. I want to thank everybody that participated in it: Fire Chief, EMA Director, John Woods, Mr. Fennessy, the Select Board for supporting it, and I believe that we have a good plan in place. That said, I've talked to the engineer, who's always, every year, they've tweaked the plan at Gillette to make it better, and we likely will. We likely will look at this plan, get it out there operating it, and probably make some adjustments to it. But I do believe it is a good plan. I believe it will give us the ability, like I said before, to stack traffic and not tie traffic up that's trying to get around the fair. So hopefully that works out for us. And I think there's a lot of hard work went into it, and I look forward to putting it in place and seeing how it works.
Thank you.
Any
Actually,
questions?
I think the key is to have that working relationship with the fair.
Yes.
Too, that everybody working toward that common goal.
Right, and we always have.
Will this presentation, Chief or Mr. Fennessy, will this be up on the website so residents can view it? And
Do you have that available to put
Yes,
up?
yes, I do.
Okay.
We're
So
also
on
gonna-
the fire, on the police website?
Yes, we'll put it on our website, and we're also going to attach it to our Facebook page. I'm not really sure how that happens, but Mike Sure will take care of that for me.
And then we can put it on there.
Great, thank you. Questions from the board?
Yeah, a couple questions. So,
I do have a question,
Okay.
if I can ask one.
Go ahead.
May I ask a question?
Yes, Ms. Bogart.
Okay. I'm noticing on the map, just one question. Northbound through traffic is going to have to stop to allow the northbound fair traffic to enter. And I'm seeing the red dotted line. I'm just wondering why the northbound through traffic is going to have to stop to let the northbound fair traffic in.
Good, very good question. So the traffic engineer feels that that's the best way to handle it. But as I mentioned, the tweaks, I think we've already talked to the DPW. We probably will not be doing it that way. We probably will just stopping the fair traffic, letting northbound traffic continue, and letting the fair traffic go as it's appropriate when they're ready to take them into the lot. But that was his original plan, and that's what we have there. So we've started with that, but we're likely going to tweak that.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Cotter, do you have?
just, so I understand this, if someone tries to come up Mayflower Road 258 to get to the fair, there'll be a no right-hand turn sign there?
No left-hand turn. They can make a right-hand turn.
So if they take a right, then they can get into the fair?
No, because it's hard to see in that plan, but right there, there'll be a very tight row of cones prohibiting them to get into that middle lane, only allowing them to get into the.
Okay. So, but we're not a fair of Mayflower getting backed up again?
I do have fear of that. That's why we've made it to local traffic only. That's there to block that, so that when they come out there, they can't try to make a left-hand turn across the lanes, and the only right-hand turn they can make is into the northbound travel lane, not into the middle lane.
got it.
There'll be the cones. If you look at the cones in the plan, they're set up apart about 80 feet apart, but right there they're very tightly packed to show that you can't, you can only turn into that lane. That's the plan anyway.
Great.
And in addition to that, we have like I said, the Waze and Google, it shouldn't be redirecting people when traffic backs up to come around by Mayflower Road. It should eliminate that.
And then obviously one of the big change, we've got 3 lanes going in, 1 lane going out. So you've talked to King Rich's, that's what they typically see, maybe a big flood of people coming in, but a trickle going out? Because if you have a lot of people going out, then you're gonna have backups in the
Right.
parking lot. in King
So
Rich's.
when people are coming into the fair, right up till about 2 o'clock is the influx in. You do have some people who are dropping their kids off to work that need to get back out of the fair, but you don't have a lot of people leaving. You know, once they get in, they usually stay for the day, and the influx to leaving is at the end of the day. This plan will be set up till about 2 or 3, depending on what we see, and the DPW are prepared to take it down so that we can get vehicles out of the fair at the end of the day. At the end of the day, the plan is, as we've always done, is the southbound lane, you come out that, you take a right-hand turn and go south. If you come out the northbound lane, you take a northbound lane and go north, and that's how we direct them to clear out the fair as quickly as we can to minimize any impact to the road. It is an impact for probably about a half an hour, 45 minutes, a big impact, and then it tapers off from there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Ewens?
Yes, I was just wondering, is there going to be more than one police officer guiding traffic this time?
So there is a police officer assigned to the south gate and one to the north gate this time,
Oh, good.
to make
Great.
that work better.
Thank you.
And they will work together to make that happen. So.
Chief, is there going to be some type of signage at the Tremont Street side of Mayflower Road informing people if they try to come up, if they know it from last year, or just know the local roads, that it's local traffic only?
Yes, there'll be some signage and some cones there to show local traffic only.
Anything else?
That was my question.
All right. Anything else? Mr. Fennessy, do you have anything on this?
No, thank you for putting this together, Chief.
Yeah.
Well, it was a group effort. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate all the help and support.
Thank you. I remember our conversation last year about getting this started, and just, you could pass along our thanks to everyone who was involved. I know it took a lot of hard work, and I really think it's going to be a big benefit this year, so.
I do as well, and we'll soon find out.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, thank you to you and the rest of the committee. It's definitely needed.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, everyone.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Very much.
I'm good, thank you.
All right. All right. The next item on our agenda is to discuss and vote to authorize the finance director to make final interdepartmental transfers from available funds to close out the fiscal year 22 budget. Ms. Moquin, if you'd like to come up and join us. And just to start, for the benefit of the folks at home, I'll read off the deficits and transfers. So the deficits are health premiums, $2,078, Medicare, $1,760, legal, $7,700, and snow and ice, $1,268.76. And the funding comes from fire salaries, $8,743.37. And fire, is that fire expenses, Mr. Fennessy? Is
Yes,
that what that is? Fire
expenses.
expenses of $4,063.39. So the total for the deficits and the funding is $12,806.76. And Mr. Fennessy, would you just like to speak for a minute on why the select board is able to make these transfers?
Okay. So we had conversation with KP Law about this. One of the things that's of concern is filing for your free cash certification. I want to take this, nobody minds that, right? So we asked for an opinion on how we can do this without forcing a special town meeting. And they looked at the warrant article, and the warrant article specifically says that the select board can approve department transfers within the same grouping upon the request of the authorization of the finance director and the town administrator. We asked for an opinion letter, and we got an opinion letter from KP Law, and they had some conversation with DOR representatives in that they consider this a ministerial act of the board and the town to close out fiscal year 22. Obviously, we generally go through the process of the Finance Committee votes on end-of-year transfers, and then the Select Board votes on end-of-year transfers. We did that in June and July, up till July 15th, that shuts off. And at that point, you have to kind of go through all the accounts and make sure it's closed out. So this surfaced, the KP Law bill, these are bills that were paid out that put it into a small overage. For the health premiums, $2,078. The Medicare, which we have to pay, obviously, $1,760. The biggest part of that is the legal, the $7,700. Those are already paid out to those entities. So now we have the money in the account. It's just a matter of balancing the two accounts to zero out those. And the opinion letter that we received indicated that in the warrant article itself, it has that ability to the Select Board to make that transfer. So we're coming before the Select Board today to finalize this, get it done so that it'll be zeroed out and it'll be a balanced books going for certification of free cash.
Thank you. Ms. Moakland, do you have anything to add to that? No. Okay. All right. Questions from the board?
Yeah, I would just like to get a copy of our standard operating procedures for the fiscal year cutoffs. Just, the timing of it and what we do when we're trying to close off for the year end.
So do we have a standard operating procedure on that? Again, I'm not sure if there's
Right,
a
I'm
written
new here,
document.
he's new here, but according to the way the warrant is, the language in the warrant, it's not the way I've normally worked things before. It's usually May 1st to July 15th, you can make changes within the budgets. But according to the way the warrant's worded, that we can do it anytime during the year as we see it needed. And I was not aware of that until we had the discussion with town council.
No, my question more is, whatever our procedure is going forward, typically because of the June 30 cutoff, I'm assuming it's crazy at the end of the fiscal year and you have to call your vendors up and say, get all your invoices in.
Right.
Get these things paid. I only have till the 30th. I only have till the 15th, everything else. Just whatever you plan to have your operating procedures to be for the end of the fiscal year, let's just memorialize it. So
Right. So what we did, I do send a letter out in the end of May, beginning of June, saying that if you have invoices that are coming in, but you haven't received them yet, we can encumber funds, which we have done. But we have till July 15th to make those bills paid, and some of those bills came in, and it just happened to be that they were more than what was budgeted.
Yeah, and I think you're going to have that challenge every fiscal year. I'm just saying, let's put something down in writing that says this is the procedure.
Okay.
So if I may, Mr. Chair, so a letter went out May 24th, 2022 to all department heads from Ms. Moakland. The last warrant to be processed for fiscal year 22 will be on Thursday, July 14th. Invoices must be received by accounting no later than Wednesday, July 6th. Any invoices received after that pertain to fiscal year 22 will have to be encumbered. And it goes on to say that, please note that this is a critical time of year for monitoring your budget. If any of your budget lines are expected to run short, notify the accounting department as soon as possible, so we'll work to resolve the shortfall. Thank you in advance. So there is a letter that goes out, a detailed letter to all department heads. But like you said, sometimes things come in after from a vendor. And I think on KP Law, the amount was more than was anticipated for the final invoice. And that was because of a number of lawsuits, a number of challenges on almost everything the Conservation Commission does and the Earth Removal Committee does, gets challenged. So KP Law weighs in on those. A lot of document requests that needed redacting and so forth. So it was a lot more than we anticipated, looking at the end of the year.
It was a busy year.
It was, unfortunately.
Mr. Carter, do you have anything else?
I'm good. Thank you.
Ms. Bogart, do you have anything?
I do not, thank you.
All right, thank you. Anything else? on the
Just had a
board?
quick question. So these deficits that we're helping to make up, was these all submitted after that letter, after the 524 letter?
Yeah, so the
Okay.
bills came in after the fact. And when I originally went to Finance Committee and the Select Board with the first transfers, it was early in June, so it was hard to, I was just looking and judging, you
Right.
know, to see what was going to happen by the end of the year, and just some things changed.
Okay, great, thank you.
Anything else?
Well, I just wanted to point out that I don't think there's an issue here because the article is written so that we can do this.
Yep.
And it's, Mr. Vanasse said, it's just ministerial.
All right. Anything else on the board? None? Is there a motion?
I'd like to move that we vote to authorize the finance director to make final interdepartmental transfers from funds available to close out FY '22 budget.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. It is unanimous. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Moakland.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So,
All right. Let's see. Other business not reasonably anticipated by the chair 48 hours in advance of the meeting. There is nothing. Our next meeting is September 6, 2022, and that will include a joint meeting with the Finance Committee. So, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Thank you. It is unanimous. Thank you, everybody. Of the FY '22 budget. We have a motion and a second. We'll do a voice vote on this vote. Ms. Bogart?
Ms. Bogart, aye.
Aye. Mr. Carter?
John Carter, aye.
Mark Townsend says aye.
Sarah Hewen says aye.
Jim Hoffman says aye.
All right. It is unanimous. Thank you. Is there another motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Ms. Bogart says aye.
Let's,
All right. It is unanimous.
do we have to voice for all that as well?
Do we need a voice vote for the adjournment, Mr. Fennessy?
no, it's just,
All right.
it's
We are
unanimous, right?
Thank you, everybody.